Welcome to What the Health? The podcast where anything health is fair game. There's a lot of garbage advice and misinformation out there that can leave you feeling stumped and stuck. Together, let's sift through the sea of BS and find the best ways to get healthy and stay healthy. Join the team as we tackle the trends and bust the myths about health and wellness. Here are your hosts, Dr. Dan Turo, Angela Turo, and Dr. Riley Brown.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dr. Dan.
Angela.
And today, what are we talking about?
Well, it's officially here. It's summer. The pools are open. The kids are out of school. So
Not officially by date, but by feel,
yes,
it finally came.
By schedule wise, I feel like when the pool's open, everyone considers it.
Yes.
And it's even warm enough to actually use them now. First.
Yeah, maybe not go in the water yet, but at least to be outside in the sun.
But yeah, I feel like we always talk about when winter comes around, you know, all the negative things for your health that come with winter. But then it's like when you really start to think about the summer season, there's a lot of a lot of schedule changes and craziness and things that can come in and affect health. And it seems like we've noticed a lot of people coming in lately that are, you know, kind of feeling off and you know, weird things coming up. So just figured we'd take some time to talk about some of the natural pros that come with the weather getting nicer and this time of year, but then also some of the cons to kind of be aware of and some strategies to just kind of survive the summer.
Yes. Surviving summer stress.
Yes,
there you go.
Ooh, hey, we got our title. But yeah, one of the big pros that I always think of and encourage people this time of year is the food. So we're into farmers market season now, so which is just, you know, around here, this we talk about it all the time. It's so hard to have access year round to fresh fresh and local produce. So this time of year is just like that's exactly. I know Bellevue, I live in Bellevue. I know theirs is Wednesdays, which unfortunately is it's 3 to 7 on Wednesdays, which I can never make. But if you just, you know, Google, you can find an entire list of local farmers markets. And if you're not in Pittsburgh, I'm sure you can do it in wherever you are. But yeah, just look up, like the communities are so good about putting out the dates and times. So if you just find one that will consistently work for your schedule and kind of add that to your shopping as opposed to just, you know, going right to the grocery stores. Yeah, it helps out local places. And then you're getting the fresh and local stuff as opposed to the stuff that's been, you know, transported across the country or sitting on the shelves. And
I mean, you actually talk about from the time it's been picked to the time it ends up on the shelf. It's usually, you know, 3-4 weeks probably.
Exactly.
You know, so for a lot of that, and you know, and then you know, again, the other advantage is a lot of people do home gardens. So I know we put our garden in. We've got, you know, several. Well, it's growing.
Always waiting,
now that it's less cold.
Waiting for my cucumbers and tomatoes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's in. You know, we've got you know, tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchini. You know, beans are already starting to. You know, the plants I just put in the seeds like last week, and they're already popping up. So
much rain.
Yeah. So again, that combination of rain and
we need the sun.
Yes, and sun. So always that right combination. But yeah, putting that in again, and just also, and then we also talk about, you know, just being outside this time of year. Yes. Right? So when you're planting a garden, I can't tell you just how therapeutic it is to get your hands in the dirt. Like it's just amazing. You're walking around in barefoot outside. It literally is grounding because you are, you know, reestablishing your neurological electrochemical signal with the earth, and it's very, very healthy to do that. And again, you can do that in the winter. It's just not
it's not invading. It's much nicer to go stick your feet in like the stream. That's what I really like. Again, we've been having so much rain. A lot of the creeks are a little too high, but when they're not crazy high, like I love that feel of just, you know, standing barefoot in a creek and just like the running
to the water.
Yeah, I get the running water, and then you get the benefit of the grounding as well because you're in the water on the rocks.
Not to mention all the minerals too that your body absorbs from those natural streams.
Yeah,
I mean, that's, you know, it's a lot.
Yeah, so. I love that when if I'm hiking somewhere and have access, that it's easy enough to
take a break.
Take a break, take my shoes off, stick my feet in the water for a little bit and enjoy. Yeah, definitely another just given benefit of this of this time of year.
You can definitely tell Angela has been much happier.
My mood, oh my God, my mood, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
She cycles very much with the season and the daily weather change.
Like, it's really the sun. I really need the sun. May was miserable this year, but then also, again, speaking of sun, so, the sunlight, so much benefit comes, people, we naturally feel that mood lift, but a lot of people don't understand why. Yeah. And, getting that access to sunlight, yes, you're getting vitamin D. That's the one thing everybody seems to know. It's like, oh, I'm getting my sunshine, I'm getting my vitamin D. But serotonin is also affected by sunlight, which is why we see a spike of depression in the winter months, because we're not getting that sun. So getting outside, even if you're by a window, even if you don't want to be directly in it, but having that sunlight exposure, especially to your eyes, is going to really give you that serotonin boost. And
to clarify, not directly.
Do not stare at the sun. Yes.
Do not stare at the sun. But being able to, get reflection, and it's coming up right now in the morning time. It's that getting into that ice, and then that helps with your sleep-wake cycle too, right?
Exactly.
Your circadian rhythm.
Yep. So when you're waking up, actually waking, which finally it's light when I wake up when I'm heading to the gym at 5:30. I'm just starting to get light, as opposed to the winter where it was still pitch black by the time I'm leaving the gym.
And leaving from the office.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I wake in the dark, I leave, I go home in the dark. So it is amazing the increase in energy, because it's, even those days where I'm like a little tired, when I see that sunlight peeking through the curtain, I'm like, okay, it's I'm up. I know as soon as I step outside and feel that brightness, that daylight, it's going to give you that natural boost. Yep. Although I will say that brings up one of the cons that I've noticed is, so it stays light longer, which is, again, for most people, that's a good thing, unless you're somebody who wakes up at 5 a.m. and you're trying to go to bed early. Yeah. So I've actually noticed it's been much more difficult to get to sleep in the evenings, as opposed, like the winter, I can be in bed at 8:30 and out in a minute, and not even not even an issue. But this, I've been finding it's like, okay, 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I'm still not wound down, and it seems like there's still that kind of boost in energy. So that's been the one thing I've actually noticed, because this is probably the first summer where I'm going into where I'd been consistently doing the early gym. And so in the past, I didn't notice it as much, because I was just, I wasn't pressured as much to go to bed early. So there's definitely been a couple evenings where I'm like, okay, it's still light out, I still have energy, but I know I need to get to sleep. And so that's where, again, implementing, we've talked about in other podcasts, just nighttime routines. So, so for me, it's been, instead of sitting out on the couch, sitting out in my main room, which has a lot of natural light, I go in the bedroom where I have blackout curtains. So blackout curtains, I would strongly recommend for anybody that doesn't sleep well if they have any kind of light in the room. So I go in there and I have my one little side lamp, and I just read in bed. And then that way I'm limiting, I'm kind of tricking myself into thinking, okay, it's dark, even if it's not quite dark yet.
So you said read. I'm assuming reading a book, not a I don't read.
Nope. I am a paper book person.
But again, that's important, because a lot of people, especially ones who have trouble falling asleep. Again, it doesn't affect me nearly as much, because I could sit and I could sit and watch something, listen to something on my screen. Again, I do understand, people will be like, it is affecting your brain. Yes, I understand it is affecting my brain activity, but it does not impact me falling asleep.
Correct.
But there's a lot of people that are very sensitive to light, and so adding an artificial light like a screen,
so if you're reading if you're reading off your phone or your iPad,
that's artificial light that is then stimulating that pathway of it's time to wake up. And so you're literally counteracting your body's ability to increase melatonin and fall asleep. So then you add that to the excess natural light, it's like we wonder, and I do notice our kids too, again, it's lighter out. They do not want to fall asleep. And so that's probably one of the other stressors that we see. It's it's like, poor mothers and fathers who are home with the kids this time of year. It's like, oh, goodness. Like, that routine changes, right? So it's like you don't have the, 8 hours where your kids are away and in school, like they're with you all the time.
Yes. And I'm sure as parent, I don't have kids, but I'm sure it's difficult, during the school year, you can say, well, it's a school night. You have, we have to, it kind of puts that, that pressure to have structure versus in the summer. I'm sure it's, especially if your kids are old enough to understand, I'm sure you get some pushback of like, well, I don't have to wake up. Yeah. Like, so why can't I stay up a little bit later? And so even just, it can be difficult, but it can also be a good learning opportunity for the family, for your kids to be like, well, the importance of maintaining a sleep-wake pattern, and if you maintain that as much as possible throughout the summer, it's going to make it that much easier when school does come back around. But,
again, lifetime, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. Just your lifetime.
Your habits that you form now can, make or break, patterns later on in life. So. Getting into, so again, I think we talk about cycle of life, cycle of seasons, like it's just a different season. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of benefits to it, but the stressors change, right? We always talk about, we can never make your life stress-free. No, we can help you adapt to it better, which also leads me to the point of like, people tend to get a little lax sometimes on their routine of either working out, coming in for their chiropractic adjustments, maybe a little lax on the foods, kids are home, they're snacking more, like,
all the holidays, the cookouts.
It's just being on top of, so the stressors different stressors, but just making sure that you're still staying on top of the things that you've committed to that are helping you get healthy and stay healthy, are very important to recognize. And it's like, maybe it changes, maybe the workouts change. I love being outside and walking, I'm
going biking after this today.
So it's like maybe instead of you're doing the gym 5 days a week, it's like maybe you're only doing 3 days a week, but then you're outside the other 3 or 4 days. So it's like
that's my strategy in the summer. I back down. I do the 3 days in the gym, and then I'm hiking or biking on the days that I have the time and that the weather. That's the other thing too. Is like can't control the weather either way. So some days I would love to be outside, but the weather says no. So doing your best to kind of look week to week and plan out. Like I know, Tuesday, Thursdays are my days that I have the potential to do outside stuff if the weather cooperates. If the weather's not going to cooperate, I still have my inside contingency plans because I don't want to do nothing because I plan. I'm like, oh, well, it was supposed to be an outdoor day and now it's storming. So
now I'm just going to sit.
Now I'm going to do nothing. It's like, okay, so I have my indoor workout plan, I have my outdoor workout plan, and then figuring out which one which one it ends up being based off what the weather does that day. But all the stuff you can do, and even the stuff people probably aren't thinking about. I mean, it's like if you're at the pool with the kids and you're actually not sitting by the, but like if you're actually in the water with them, running around, chasing after them, swimming after them, like that's, those are great active minutes there that you're not even thinking about. Same with, take the, when I go out biking, you see all the families out biking together, or swimming, kayaking, if that's something, if you and kids are old enough to handle that kind of stuff. But there's just endless things that you can do, and like you said, just go for a walk. I mean, it's like as simple as go find a park. Where we are, there's so many I love hiking, and I think sometimes people are afraid of that word, hiking. But there, like up in North Park, there's so many trails that aren't vigorous. So it's just, as long as you have good shoes,
just walking in the woods,
and it just gives you a different feel than being like, I personally don't like walking on pavement. It just, so I want to be, that's why I'd rather drive a little, 20 minutes somewhere that I can go hike in the woods as opposed to just, walking around. But I will. It's like, if that's my only option, I'm short on time, I'll go for a walk around the block and just, again, get that sunshine, get those steps in, get a little bit of, I was going to say fresh air, but the air has not been very, fresh lately.
Well, the other thing that's important to understand too is like, if you are working outside in the garden or landscaping and you're doing a lot of digging, like that's rigorous activity.
Absolutely.
You know, if you're pulling weeds out, you know, and again, please be careful whenever you're, you know, how you're doing your posture with your knees, your low back, like, you know, the number of injuries we get this time of year because it's like, oh yeah, I was trying to dig that root out or I was trying to yank that weed and it was a lot more stuck than I thought it was. And you know, you tweaked yourself. It's like, you know, that's very beneficial to be outside and getting that activity, but then also can be injury producing if you're not warmed up appropriately. But then grass cutting too, like if you're pushing, you know, if you're push mowing, you know, a half an acre that, you know, takes, you know, 20, 30 minutes, like that's great activity.
Yeah. But again, it's even if you're doing, I always tell people, even if you're doing it right, it's still like some of these, you know, outdoor activities are awkward movements. So you're thinking about like if you're push mowing a yard around here that has, you know, an awkward hill, and you're like, it's on the side of a cliff. I've seen some. I swear, we should just drive around and hand out our card this time of year to people doing yard work.
Video all the awkward, you know, lawn mowing. Have you hurt yourself in a lawn mowing incident?
I drove past the two women out doing some yard work the other day, and again, it's like their yard was a hill, so they're like on this hill reaching. And I mean, it's like, you know, you do what you have to do, but even if you're doing things correctly, it's still going to be
awkward.
Using the body in a way you're not used to. So making sure that you're, you know, taking, you said warm up, but I would also say cool down, stretch, ice, you know, rest. I think a lot of people, you know, especially people who maybe aren't used to exercise and what the after effects of that feel like. So they don't necessarily know the difference between you're just sore because you use muscles in a different way versus, oh, I hurt something. It's like, I mean, you know, if I'm out weeding all day and pulling stuff, it's like, I'm going to be sore. But that's not the same as, I hurt myself. So,
well, and that's a great point then too about the cooling down. A lot of people, again, their bodies aren't necessarily trained for that level of activity. And then you add the heat and humidity to that. And so one of the things that I've been doing more in my work, in my routine just daily is electrolytes. You showed me that. And I was amazed at the difference.
I do those in my first water bottle every morning. And then again on like days like today where I'm outside, I'll do it in my one after my outdoor activity, or the one I'm drinking while I'm outside.
So it's like if you're outside on a hot day and you're sweating a lot, the cool down period, and again, drinking those electrolytes slowly throughout the day, not just chugging them. And when we say electrolytes, we're not talking about going to, you know, grab a sugary sports drink. Do not do that, please. Like there's so much sugar and so much,
and
you know, garbage, artificial.
I get so frustrated every time I like read the labels of those. I'm like, there's a little bit of sodium in them, which is technically an electrolyte, but it's like it's sugar and sodium water. It's not, there's not actually like any other electrolytes in there.
The one that we're talking about has, you know, a great amount of magnesium in it, has a great amount of zinc, which is also fantastic for immune support, you know, especially from an allergy standpoint with all the pollen and stuff that's out this time of year. You know, it's got your potassium. You know, so again, it gives you a wide spread of the trace minerals that your body has to pull from. Dr. O'Reilly and I just did the whole podcast on, on the supplementation, and it's like, so you're adding to the pull that your body can literally pull from, you know, and that is so important for that recovery. So the hydration, again, a lot of people say, oh, I drink so much water. I will never forget when I was at a vendor fair, and I was talking to a gentleman at a sauna. He was promoting an infrared sauna. And he said the phrase, look, water follows salt in the body. And I mean, I'm sure maybe I heard that before, but it just hit me so blatantly. I'll never forget the way he said that. I'm like, that is so important because, you know, people don't have the proper balance of electrolytes. And so what happens is they drink all the water, but then that water will literally sit in between their tissue, right? The interstitial fluid.
Yeah, it's not
it's not actually getting into the cell where it needs to be, you know, to produce energy and have a proper, you know, cell replication. So you actually almost become bloated. You're drinking all of this water. You actually swell.
Yep.
You know, and so the water is in the wrong place. But if you have proper balance of electrolyte, then that water can actually pull into the cell where it needs to be. And that's where, you know, a lot of people say like, oh, you know, I'm just so tired all the time. I have all this brain fog. You literally add the electrolytes where their brain can actually get the right amount of water concentration and electrochemical concentration, because electrochemical is literally what drives communication in the entire body. When you have the proper concentration of those electrolytes plus the water, now you're actually like, wow, I can actually think.
Hey,
I can string two sentences together. You know, and again, I know that, you know, we all get stressed, and as we age, like sometimes it's harder to, you know, pull those pieces out. But when you add the right nutrients to your routine, it's amazing. We just had a woman the other day who Dr. Riley saw. She was on a number of medications, and they just kept adding more. And like she in her 80s, in her mid 80s, but really like going down the path of like diagnosed dementia and like all of this, you know, cognitive decline. Well, her and her husband, they finally got to the bottom of, you know, some of the doctors and helped to wean off some of the medication that she was on and rebalance some of just the simple electrolytes and supplements that she was taking. It was a night and day difference, her cognitive health at 85 years old, just by, you know, changing some of the medications that she was on, and, you know, by adding, you know, the right nutrients. And again, those electrolytes are so incredibly important, not just for muscle recovery, but for brain health. So I mean, start taking them every day, because again, you're not going to hurt yourself again unless you're taking something with very, very high sodium.
Or again, you can do too.
You can overdo it.
I just saw something about, you know, a woman was hospitalized because she was, I guess, every water that she did she was overdoing the electrolytes. So again, make sure you're reading labels, and because each one's going to be a little bit different. Like the one that we use, I think it says don't do more than like 8 servings in a day.
Which is a ton. I think I probably do 2. I don't even measure it. I just kind of squirt it in. But like, you know, you would have to do, you know, quite a bit, because there's like 30 servings in the bottle, 30 or 40 in the bottle. So you'd be doing almost a quarter of the bottle per day to like overdo it.
So I mean, it's like, you know, you do want to watch, because again, you can go too much the other way where you get too much mineral, not enough water, and that's so. But it's it's like, that's why you just got to do everything in moderation. Right. But yes, especially this time of year, if you live somewhere around here where there's a drastic increase in the humidity, you're going to be sweating more and losing more water, whether you realize it or not. Like it's a natural response to that. So you want to make sure, it's important year round, but definitely this time of year, if you're outside, you want to make sure you're getting that water with those electrolytes so that you're actually absorbing it. Because when
you sweat, you're not just losing water, you're using the electrolytes, you know, because that's why it's like when you cool off after you've been sweating, like, you know, you can literally taste, you literally feel like, oh my gosh, I'm like salty. But that needs to be replenished.
Exactly.
So the dog always loves to come
up
and lick you. You know, I'm sure your cat, it's like they come lick you, because it's like you're literally like a salt lick after you've been sweating. But so, you know, those electrolytes are important. In addition to, you know, going back to what you said about cooling down, you know, a lot of times we'll go like from that drastic heat to coming into a cold AC building that's at like, you know, 68, 70 degrees. And so that drastic shock to your system, again, I think kind of goes to like that neurological stress, like, you know, whoa, what's going on? And a lot of times then those muscles can even like tighten back up. So, you know, again, cooling down, stretching properly, especially if you've been out in the sun, just get out of the sun, move into the shade, cool down, have a glass of water out on your porch or something. Let your body cool down in the temperature that you were just in, and then maybe move into the cold AC. So
that actually brings up something I wasn't even planning on talking about, but that I've noticed this time of year. And if you're somebody that, like me, that sweats almost immediately when the weather is
a healthy response.
It is amazing how much more I sweat in my summer workouts than in the winter. But I really try to give myself time, which again, in the mornings, I don't always have the time to do it, but I try to give myself time to cool down before I shower. Mm-hmm. So like, it can be so tempting to be like, okay, I just finished this activity. I want to hop in the shower and, rinse all this off, but like, I really have noticed if I do that, so like my morning workouts where I'm running home, I jump in the shower, by the time I get out, I'm sweating again. Yeah. And it's like, which one is uncomfortable, but also if you're somebody who gets out of the shower and then uses lotion and stuff, it's, so your pores now, because you're still warm, your pores are super open. So you're going to almost be over absorbing some of those things. And if you're getting out of the shower, and I've noticed if I get out of the shower and I put lotion on, I've gotten overheated sometimes because I think exactly. I've stopped the natural sweat. So that's the other thing I've been more mindful of. If that's my only option to run home, shower real quick, I don't put lotion on after those showers because I know I'm going to continue to sweat from my workout because I'm still, naturally cooling down. So just being aware of that, because that's something that has happened to me a couple times. So but again, if I have the time to let myself get to the point that I stop sweating before my shower, just knowing that it's gonna, again, giving your body that time to naturally cool down, as opposed to trying, like you said, shock the system. As much as it feels nice to sometimes jump in the freezing cold shower, sometimes it can shock your system a little bit and not give you that natural cool down period.
So speaking of lotions, then what about sunscreens?
So that's another big thing that's this time of year. We have a whole, I think we did it last year. We have a whole podcast on sunscreen that you can go back and listen to one of our old ones. But being careful of what you're using. There's, I think more companies are starting to leave out some of the bad, some of the bad chemicals. Like anything you put on your skin, it's going to be absorbed. So you really want to watch what's in it. I do not have the background to tell you what the bad things are. Honestly, I have to look it up myself.
It's easy enough to, especially with AI and and search engines.
I always get this stuff for sensitive skin. That's because I already have. I buy the stuff that's like $25 a bottle. People are like, can I use that? Nope. No, you cannot. You can go use somebody else.
And again, at the end of the day, typically the ones that are more expensive are the mineral-based ones. But those are the healthier ones, right? Your zinc oxide. You think the old school, video.
Yeah, the ones that come down, you look like,
you look like you've got this big white nose, and it takes forever to absorb in. But
you've been listening to another episode of What the Health? The podcast where anything health is fair game, with your hosts, Dr. Dan, Angela, and Dr. Riley. Brought to you by Churro Family Chiropractic. If you'd like to learn more about some of the resources mentioned on this show, or you have questions about something that was discussed, please reach out through our website at www.turofamilychiropractic.com. Remember to like and subscribe to What the Health Podcast to catch all the latest episodes and replay your favorites. Thank you for listening, and remember, we're always here to help when you find yourself saying, "What the hell?"